Alright, so this is part one of the future of the NBA. I'll be talking about three players and then making a documentary style type of video in a few days. In a few days, I'll finish that. But in this video, I want to talk about Victor Wembanyama, who is one of the three players. But I wanted to say something. I know most people that I've been talking to, they truly do believe he is the future of the NBA. Right now, I think a better question regarding this is when will he become the best player in the world? Right? I think it is bound to happen. I just don't know exactly when. Because if you look at this season, at the beginning of the year, he didn't look great, right? He looked like he was struggling, like the NBA was, it was taking him a while to adjust. But then randomly, he made like a flip, and he improved throughout the year. And I think at the end of the year, his points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, and his efficiency all went up. Actually, I think even his blocks went up at the end of the year. Because he improved significantly throughout the year, throughout the entire season. He looked stronger, which I know was a big criticism of his, that he wasn't strong enough. But for a 20-year-old, his season ended very well, right? I think I can't say he's top 20 because I would have to really think about it, but he is very close to a top 20 player already in the league. I know he's playing during the Olympics, so I'm going to be watching him then. But in terms of like next year, right, ignoring the Olympics, there are certain things I do want to see him improve because even though he's 20, so you expect holes in his game, and I'm going to mention some, right? And this is just me being honest. One of them is his pick and roll defense. Even though he's a great defender, I do think he's one of the best defenders in the NBA. His pick and roll defense has been pretty much drop coverage, and it's not the most efficient defense that they could play. There are times where the other team can't make any shots, and that drop coverage alone destroys the other team, right? But then there's also other times where you're playing someone like a Jalen Brunson, and he's pulling up every other play, and he ends up dropping 62 on you or 61 points on you. Now that's when it becomes a really big problem, right? So I do definitely want to see him improve his pick and roll defense for next season. Another thing that he needs to do is improve his shot selection. I know that has to do more with strength. So if he's strong enough, I assume he's going to start taking better shots and higher quality shots. If he gets stronger and he starts jacking up more threes, I just don't see him living up to his potential. I think his potential is very based upon him being able to take the game inside, dominate inside, force players to fear him going inside to the point where they give him wide open threes. And his efficiency would really skyrocket at that point. I think that's where his future is. If he can do that, oh my, you might be looking at one of the 10 greatest players of all time, which is saying a lot for me. I don't put anybody there at all. It's very hard to move up in my list. Now, moving on from shot selection, the last thing I want to see him improve next season, hopefully, is his turnovers. At the beginning of the year, he was turning the ball over a lot. Mid-season, he cleaned them up. His turnovers dropped. His assists went up. And then at the end of the year, his assists went up again, but his turnovers skyrocketed. And he started turning over like 5 turnovers a game for like 10 games in a row, which is not good, right? He was really struggling to keep the ball safe. Teams were coming in and pickpocketing him. He would put down the dribble. And, teams would come and get him. Also, the dribbling, I think he needs to be more efficient with it. He's a good dribbler, but he's not using it as efficiently at times. There's times where I see him make a move, and he just puts himself in a position where people can take the ball from him. Now, that's enough of the criticism. Obviously, I do think he's going to improve in all of those, but the question is when? So, I hope that's the case. Now, in terms of him being the face of the league, he is probably in the position to take it, right? Because he's young. He's very good with the media. The media loves him. He handles the media well. He speaks English, which sounds kind of annoying, but I have to point it out that there is no language barrier, which is good, right? He doesn't need a communicator. He doesn't need a translator. Like, that's what I mean. I'm not saying like it's bad not to speak English. I'm just saying it makes it easier for the fans to relate with him because most fans speak English. Now, that being said, I do think, and I'm going to say something controversial for most people, but I think in the third year of his career, he could legit be the best player in the world. Now, that is a big if, right? There's certain things if. There's a player that is stopping him from doing that, and I'll talk about him in the third video. But the second thing I want to point out is he already has like the hype necessary to be the face of the league. I think last season he was the third most watched player, right behind Curry and LeBron, right? And that's insane. So, there's another player that is young, who has a personality, who's fun to watch, and I think is only growing in popularity, even though he's older than Wemby. His name is Anthony Edwards, who my next video will be about. That's really his competition in terms of age. The third one is a little bit more interesting, and I'll bring him up in the third video, but Yeah, let's just check it out.